to our legacy.
Hi, I'm Beverly Zymet here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I want to say thank you all for sharing your time with us this evening as we dedicate this day to National Vietnam Veterans Day. This is all about to our legacy, and we want to say thank you to all the Vietnam vets who served our country. Unfortunately, they left a legacy that's not always happy. They did not know the exposure to Agent Orange was going to create the mess that it did. So we are here now today to help the families and the generational things that are going on, open up that awareness and educate everyone that, hey, we have an issue here that needs to be rectified, and we want to be heard, and we want to reach out and help each and every one of you. That's what this project is all about, and we want to say thank you to Miriam Martinez for sharing her story and bringing this to life to help families with their struggles and know what to do, how to do it, and find the resources to get it done. So thank you again for spending that time with us this evening, and we have a show for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'd like to bring our host of the show on stage here, where she's going to give you some absolutely morsels of greatness to work with your families. So Miriam Martinez, come on in.
Well, thank you so much, Beverly. It's awesome to be here.
It is, isn't it? We haven't done this in a long time.
I know, it's been a long time.
Exactly. You want to share with the audience exactly what To Our Legacy is and how it even got started?
Well, it got started, many years ago when you are faced with a situation in life where it's critical. You have to look at things in a different way. Our family decided to write a book called Agent Orange, Broken DNA, and it was about our journey the last few years, more than a few years, I guess you would say the last 40 years. And what we discovered on it, this journey, that our families are being affected by Agent Orange, a second generation, a third generation. They're now saying it's going into fourth generations. So today we are creating an awareness of to our Vietnam veterans and their families to let them know that they are not alone and we are here to support them.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. This is really something that is so necessary to get this information out and the understanding and that awareness, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You talked a little bit about rare diseases. What exactly do you mean by rare diseases? Because I know the first time you said that to me, it's like, what's the difference between that rare disease than all the other stuff that they're telling us that are going on out there in the health industry?
Well, rare diseases is abnormal defects that occur in veterans' families currently. With our family, I'm going to just name what it is. It's called hereditary hemorrhagic telangiectasia. HHT for a cure. I've worked with them for the last 10 years with our family. Our children have been diagnosed with that rare illnesses. It's a very rare disease. If you want to support rare diseases, you can always go to and see what Vietnam veterans have in that rare disease category. There's birthdefects.org. Okay. I'm getting too much.
Now, I know you mentioned, of course, the name of the book, Broken DNA.
Yes.
So obviously these rare diseases have something to do with broken DNA, but that's not the message we're getting across here today. We want you to really understand but it is about Agent Orange and where we can go now with the awareness of it. So Marion, talk a little bit about what these long-term effects are. Just, roughly just kind of, tell us what they can expect, in just a few short words.
In a few short words, it's hard to say what you're going to expect, to be honest with you. I've been asked many times, what are the steps? There aren't any. What are the symptoms? There aren't any. That's all I can tell you. But knowing that your veteran was in Vietnam and that exposure of the chemicals that they had out there, it wasn't just Agent Orange. There was multiple chemicals. It could be a combination of all of it.
Yeah, and who knows, right?
Right. It's a mixing pot.
Exactly. So what about the research? Is there any research, or is it very minimal?
They do have research out there. Birthdefects.org has conducted an amazing research over the years. They started with the Agent Orange registry back in, I believe, the 70s or 80s, and then they seen there was abnormalities in their children, so they started that birthdefects.org. .org.
.org. I know. We all go through what is that called?
I know. It's like...
Yeah. All of the information and these links and stuff are going to be attached to, things later on tonight after the stream is done. So you'll be able to have all that information out there and the contact information. So don't worry about that right now, okay? So we are now going to take a short break.
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education on how we can help you.
Oh, wow. I have the honor of introducing a long-standing legacy here in Las Vegas, a producer who actually is producing this show that you are about to see tonight. Stay tuned. His name is John Stiles, and he wants to share with you an interview that he did a while back. It's going to tear at your heartstrings. So sit back, relax, and grab a tissue. Thank you.
Okay, so one of the reasons I did ask you, I love talking about this passion of yours and the work that you do and everything, but one of the reasons that I did ask you to be a guest on my show is that I found out that you are a veteran.
Yes, I am.
You're a veteran of the Vietnam War.
Yes, that's true.
And I have interviewed several veterans over the course of my career, but Vietnam veterans are very reluctant to speak about their experiences. And I know that it is a difficult subject, and I applaud you and I thank you profoundly for saying that you would agree. Now, I never want to ask any questions that would make you uncomfortable.
Well, I don't have to answer them.
You don't well, and that's what I tell all my guests.
Right.
But I also don't want to touch upon anything. But I would love if you could just share a little bit about how you got into, the military, a little bit of your experience, and just talk, John.
Okay. But before we get into that,
Okay.
I stumbled across this a little while ago, and I think it's important. I'd like to read this, and it's basically, it's to understand a military veteran, you must know. We left home as teenagers.
Would you like me to read it?
No, I can get through
Okay.
this. We left home as teenagers or in our early 20s for an unknown adventure. We loved our...
It's okay, John.
We loved our country enough to defend it and protect it with our own lives. We said goodbye to friends and family and everything we knew. We learned the basics, and then we scattered in the wind to the far corners of the earth. We found new friends and new family. We became brothers and sisters, regardless of our color, race, or creed. We had plenty of good times and plenty of bad times. We didn't get enough sleep. We smoked and drank too much. We picked up both good and bad habits. We worked hard and played harder. We didn't earn a great wage. We experienced the happiness of mail call and the sadness of missing important events. We didn't know when or even if we were ever going to see home again. We grew up fast, and yet somehow we never grew up at all. We fought for our freedom as well as our freedom of others. Some of us saw actual combat, and some of us didn't. Some of us saw the world, and some of us didn't. Some of us dealt with physical warfare. Most of us dealt with psychological warfare. We have seen and experienced and dealt with things that we can't fully describe or explain, as not all of our sacrifices were physical. We participated in time-honored ceremonies and rituals with each other, strengthening our bonds and camaraderie. We counted on each other to get our job done and sometimes to survive it at all. We have dealt with victory and tragedy. We have celebrated and mourned. We lost a few along the way. When our adventure was over, some of us went back home. Some of us started somewhere new, and some of us never came home at all. We have told amazing and hilarious stories of our exploits and adventures. We share an unspoken bond with each other that most people don't experience, and few will understand. We speak highly of our own branch of service and poke fun at the other branches. We know, however, that if needed, we will be there for our brothers and sisters and stand together as one in a heartbeat. Being a veteran is something that had to be earned, and it can never be taken away. It has no monetary value, but at the same time, it is a priceless gift.
Did you write that?
No.
But that's beautiful.
I found that, and I just thought it was perfect, and when you asked me to do this, I thought I have to read that today. So.
Do we know who the author is? Could
No,
we find
I don't.
out? Okay.
I wish I did,
Okay.
because I would like to give them credit, and it is absolutely right on.
And it was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Our first guest here, who is a legend when it comes to Las Vegas. He's very well known in the community for all the work that he's done. He is a Vietnam veteran and has done a lot of work throughout the community for the veterans. And we want to honor that, and we want to thank him for his service and also for being here, joining us today on this very special day where we're launching To Our Legacy. And it's all about the families of the Vietnam veterans and how we can support and help them moving forward. And Bruce has been a big part of all of that here in the Las Vegas area and throughout the community. So Bruce, why don't you share with the people a little bit about, the things that you do and whatever you feel comfortable to share is good. I know you and Miriam go back a long ways, and you're here to support her, and we definitely do appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for your service on National Vietnam Veterans Day. And then share your story about this $100 thing. I'm really curious about that. So I am going to turn the mic over to you, and it's all yours.
Thank you so much. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege. I will say, first of all, Miriam and Frank, her wonderful husband for so many years, they are embedded in the center of my heart. Everything that Miriam is doing, I support 100%. What she's doing for the Vietnam families, it touches my heart. So first, regarding the $100, let me start out by saying this. I support Miriam and all that she's doing for the community. So the first thing I want to do is say I am contributing $100 right now, right this second, to Miriam to support all that she's doing for the Vegas community and the Vegas veterans. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I'd like to share is, yes, I am a Vietnam veteran. I was in Vietnam in 1968. I've had many discussions about my Vietnam time with Frank, her wonderful husband. So I will share that I arrived in Vietnam on January 2nd, 1968. The Tet Offensive was just exploding right when I arrived on January 2nd in 1968. And I have one story that I'd like to share with everybody because I think it's important for everybody to try to understand what all of us Vietnam vets have gone through. It was April in 1968. We were on a very big patrol in the center of Vietnam. I was in an Army MP Jeep, and it's hard to think back, but I was behind a machine gun. I was behind a machine gun, and my colleague was seated in the Jeep, and the MP driver was in the front of the Army Jeep. It was such a beautiful area in Vietnam. It was a desolate area, but it was gorgeous. I asked the MP driver to please stop the Army Jeep so we could get out and take a picture because the surroundings were so gorgeous. So we got out of the car. I got out from the machine gun, and we got a beautiful picture, me and my wonderful friend. When we got back into the Jeep, my friend said to me, Bruce, you've been behind the machine gun for a long time. I think it's my turn to get behind the machine gun. So I said to him, okay. So I was then seated in the Army Jeep. He was behind the machine gun. I asked the MP driver to start the Jeep. He started the Jeep. 5 minutes later, there was a VC sniper attack, and my very best friend was mortally wounded, and he died in my arms. It was the saddest day of my life. It's something that I will never forget. As a result of that, I have suffered from PTSD ever since that incident. But I made a promise to myself in Vietnam in 1968. I had two ways that I could go as a Vietnam veteran. I could play poor little me and say, why me? And why am I still living? And my dear friend died. But I decided that day to take the saddest incident in my life and make it a positive, and that I wanted to impact the lives of people for the rest of my life. And that's what I've chosen to do. So now fast forward with all the wonderful things that Miriam is doing for the Vietnam community. I love not only the Vietnam veterans, but I love all the veterans worldwide. When I'm in an airport and I see somebody in the military, I go up to them and I thank them for their service. But what Miriam is doing for the community and the families of Vietnam vets and veterans, I just applaud Miriam because she has a heart of gold. And I hope that everybody will join me with the $100 that I'm donating to Miriam, and it's well deserved. And I hope that a lot of other people join me. Because I am part of the VA, I go to the VA all the time, the VA facility in North Las Vegas, and all my doctors are VA doctors. So I see the Vietnam veterans all the time throughout the year, and I'm very aware of all the problems that all the veterans deal with. Some of them have drug problems, some of them have alcohol problems, some of them have PTSD problems, but I support all the veterans, and that's why I think it's so beautiful what Miriam is doing. And I know that she also cares very much about the terrible things that have happened with Agent Orange. And when I was in Vietnam, it was a very, very big problem. And the book that Miriam has written, I applaud her. She's a gifted writer. And I also recommend it. There are people that are watching that have not gotten Miriam's book. I hope that they'll consider purchasing her book. So what I want everybody to know, yes, I'm a Vietnam vet. I have been through a lot, and I know what it's like to be in a hostile area under really dangerous gunfire and ammunition. So being a veteran, that's why I say I really salute Miriam, because she's devoting her life to helping veterans' families. And again, I was so blessed to get to know her husband, Frank, very well. And Frank, of course, was in Vietnam as well. So that's why I think what Miriam is doing is so, so important, because the veterans can really benefit from what Miriam is doing, the families of the veterans. I know what it's like because I've been through it myself. And I had so many wonderful talks with Frank, her husband, and we both reminisced on what it's like to be in a hostile environment and have your life on the line every single day. So the fact that Miriam has chosen to have her radar out to help families and veterans, I can't think of a more beautiful thing that Miriam is doing. So again, I'm happy to give my $100 to Miriam, and I hope everybody that's watching will donate money as well, because it is such an important cause, and veteran families, they really can use our support. And from my heart to Miriam's, God bless you, Miriam, for all that you're doing. But again, you have my support. And yes, I'm very blessed. I have a very big, successful entertainment company worldwide, and that's wonderful. But I never for one day forget all the veterans and all the military around the world. So my salute to Miriam and all that she's doing for the veterans and the family. So please join me and join Miriam. Please, $100. If you can give more, if it's less, that's fine too. But let's raise money for the wonderful families, and of the veterans. I just cannot tell you how much I am impressed with what Miriam is doing. She has a heart of gold, and I love you, Miriam, and I support all your efforts. Thank you so much.
I want to say it was an honor having you here today and coming from your heart. And that's what this is all about. It's heart to heart, and just really being there, supporting humanity.
Yes.
It's not just about the veterans, it's about humanity, and it's about people sharing and loving and caring for one another. And, I was very touched by your story. And, I can't even imagine what you went through over there. I had three brothers that were in the Vietnam era at the same time. And, so I come from a long background, as well, and have high respect, not only for the veterans in this country, but, there were a lot of people involved in that war over there and a lot of victims, and Vietnam itself was a victim.
It was a shame. I mean, again, I could go on for days about all the terrible things that went on in Vietnam. But as you know, I wanted to concentrate on Miriam. But yes, I mean, again, because I'm in the VA, I see the Vietnam vets, Afghan vets, Iran, on and on and on. And I know the torture that a lot of these people are going through. So yeah,
Right.
that's what Miriam is doing is so important. It's very valuable.
It really is. It really is. And when it comes to the toxic exposures and the things that's been damaging to the families because of Agent Orange, that's what this is all about, is
Right.
to get the knowledge out there about it, to get education out there about it, and actually get resources where people can understand, oh my gosh, that's what's going on. We had no clue, and medical
Right.
doesn't always help us, understand that, because they're still discovering things. So
Right.
this awareness that is part of To Our Legacy, and thank you, for your donation as well, Bruce, because it takes a lot to run this show. It takes a lot
Right.
to get this research done and to help these families sometimes who have lost everything.
Yeah,
So
that's why I did want to mention her book and the Agent Orange as well, just so that's why I did get that in there. And believe me, I have met many people that have been affected very, very badly by Agent Orange. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we do appreciate everything that you've done, everything that
Yeah.
you continue to do.
Sure.
And thank you again so much for joining us here today. And we are going to move on to our next speaker. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We have another amazing guest with an absolutely stunning story. As you all know, this is all a part of the To Our Legacy.
a project that Miriam Martinez is putting together to honor not only the Vietnam veterans, but to also make awareness and resources and stuff available for the families of the veterans. And today we have the honor of Alan Lewis being with us. He is a Blue Water veteran. He's going to share a little bit about his story and how he ended up in the Navy and in Vietnam and what he actually did on the ship. So, Alan, welcome to the show. Share your story.
Hello. I decided to go in the Marine or the Navy. Once I graduated from high school, I was 20 years old. My father and my brother and my uncle were in the Navy, and I wanted to do the same for a family tradition. I got stationed in Long Beach, California, on a carrier named the USS Kearsarge, CVS 33. And there we deployed on a Westpac cruise, March of '69, and we got back. It was called a little bit short because of decommission, but we got back in September of '69. We went to 5 or 6 ports, ranging from Pearl Harbor to the Philippines, Subic Bay in the Philippines. We went to Hong Kong, Japan, and we went to Subic Bay. We also went to Vietnam. We were in the South China Sea, where we had a few mishaps. But all in all, we got back. It was a wonderful trip. And I couldn't have it any other way. It was just perfect. I had V1. I worked in the flight deck division, which was on the top of an aircraft carrier. If you see in movies, you get to see where the planes land and take off. I was part of all of that. So it was an exciting time of my life. So had fun. Thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Now we're going to fast forward into today's world, and we want to hear a little bit about what you're doing, to really support veterans families, and, probably other people as well, because you have become an avid platelet donor. Can you share exactly what that is?
Well, some years ago, when I probably in or late the 40s, but I asked my doctor what kind of blood I had, and he said red. I said, Doc, you're a genius. I said, I would need to know the type. And he told me go to the blood bank, and I went to the blood bank in February of 1999. They told me I was O positive, which is it's second rarest blood. They kept calling, and I kept showing up. And 2.5 decades later, I've given 1,081 platelets, which equates each platelet. A platelet is actually a clotting agent that people need for an open body surgery. And I've helped 1,081 people either survive or help them along in their recovery for life. It's an exciting thing to do. I urge everybody to go and donate blood or platelets. It's a rare group, and I'm just glad to be part of it. And I went last Sunday, and I just passed a milestone of 135 and a quarter gallons of product out of my little blood machine, as I call it. So I'm having a blast, saving lives. And the service people, I donated my very first time actually on the flight deck of a carrier. They came out there, but I did whole blood. So the difference between whole blood and platelets, whole blood's used for people if they're having open body surgery and they don't need a clotting agent. But the platelets are a little bit more valuable than the whole blood. They're both valuable along with plasma. But the platelets are the most needed because they only last 5 days. And that's the shelf life of a platelet. If it's not used in 5 days, it's gone. But normally, O positive. I go, as they say, all around the country. They send me, or they send my platelets, not me, but I wish I could travel as much as my platelets do, but I can't. But they go everywhere to save lives. I've been in almost, I think it's over 30 states. And the furthest donation I gave was it went to a little 8-year-old kid in Guam in the South Pacific. One unit left my body in California, in Southern California, and ended up in Guam 3 days later. Helped save an 8-year-old kid of cancer. We're called the Cancer Kickers in the club, and we just love to donate. There's 16,000 members, which isn't much, but we do the best we can. And donating blood is just, it's in my blood to give blood. So I'll do it till they kick me out. And I've done it 24 years now, and I've got it. Hopefully I'll have another 24 to go, but that would be pushing me up against the 100-year mark, and I don't know about that, but we'll see. But thank God we have people like, me and the club and other people that just donate their time and their product to people that need. There's always people that need blood, platelets or plasma. So kick in and give in. That's all you can do. Thank God we're here.
Oh, well, that's for sure. And thank you so much for sharing that story, because a lot of people don't really understand there is more to blood donating than just, drawing the blood and incorporating it and using it for different aspects of life saving. And that's got to be rewarding. Can you kind of capitalize that on a little bit on how it makes you feel to know that that little red stuff coming out of your body is responsible for saving the lives of so many and the lives of the families of the people that you saved and how they were impacted? Because I'm sure, you don't, maybe I'm correct or wrong here, so correct me. Do you ever get to meet someone's life that you saved? And how does that all make you feel?
Well, the thing of it is because of the HIPAA laws, or from what I understand, you can never know who you helped. You can know where your product went to, whether it went to Beverly Hills Memorial Hospital, or it went to Tucson International, or whether it went to Texas A&M. You never know who it went to, but they let you know by email, especially now in this day and age. But they let you know who it went to or to where it went, but not to who. I hope that was clear. But I donate because I have the O positive, which is the rare blood. I fit 83% of the world. Everybody needs platelets, especially if you do an open body surgery and you have a problem clotting. That's the reason I do platelets, is it's a clotting agent that they need. And I was just blessed with great genes as far as being able to produce. I produce 24 donations per year, which is the max you can do, and I've done it several years. Over the several years, I've done 22 to 24 donations per year for 20 years or more. So it's just, I can't see me doing any other thing other than helping mainly stage cancer kids and leukemia kids, because their parents don't have the right blood to help them. And then that's where the platelet donor steps in, which is me and several other thousand people. I wish the club was more, but it's basically only less than 3% of the people in the United States actually donate blood or platelets or plasma. And I like being in the 3% club. It's fun.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that about platelets. So, what is the difference between a healthy platelet and an unhealthy platelet?
Well, I don't know if there's an unhealthy. If it's unhealthy, they don't take it. First off, it's got to they put you through a criteria where you have to be tested weekly or bi-weekly, and they do 4 test tubes. They draw a conclusion whether it's a good product or not. If it's not, of course, they just give it away to science or classrooms that could use it for demonstration, but they can't use it on humans. Whereas if the platelets are good, then your platelet count is like above 300,000, and I run between 305 and 325 most of the time. I've dropped below 300,000, but not rare, or not, it's rare. But everybody that has a problem where if you cut and you can't heal yourself, like a hemophiliac, that's where clotting agents come in, and that's why we're so needed, because some people can't heal themselves, especially the elderly, and then the kids, they can't rely on their parents. You have to have the right blood. You have to have the right type. You have to be OP to OP. You can't mix it up. OP blood is OP blood, but then there's AB negative and AB positive, and there's a few others, but you have to match it up. So that's why when they know that I'm in the chair, they know that they're going to get 3 units out of me. And by the time I usually get out of the chair, which is a couple hours later on the same day, they've already got a place where I'm landing. So I just go, I get my platelets, get in a van, and they go up to Pomona, California, and then they get dispersed nationwide or worldwide, wherever it has to go. It's on a plane the next day. It doesn't waste any time. I donate on Sunday. Most of the time it's Sunday morning at 7. And by Monday morning, I'm headed somewhere to save a life or to help save a life. And there's no better feeling.
Oh, I can imagine. That's totally awesome. Alan, on behalf of the audience listening here and myself, I want to say thank you and kudos for doing this because it is of great service. And we're all human and working together, people to save humanity and live in peace and live in love and work together and save lives and make lives that are more beneficial. Well, no, that's not the right word. Beneficial is not the right word. More let's say maybe a easier life, when they're struggling because of issues with the blood, but to be able to change those lives and the lives, not only the lives of the person that took your blood platelets, but the families that didn't lose their loved one because you gave. And that's what it's all about. It's about giving and giving because it's a choice and it's the right thing. So, Alan, again, thank you so much for your service for this country and your continued service for saving lives.
I'll add one more. I did what they call an HLA match, and I did go to 2 specific people. There was a lady at UC Davis Sacramento campus. She got all 3 units because she was doing open body cancer surgery. And I ended up going from San Diego, California to Pomona, California to Baltimore, Maryland to save a 57-year-old cancer patient, a male. I still don't know his name, but they did let me know he was a 57-year-old cancer patient doing an open body surgery. And they also took all 3 units to that facility. So I'm blessed to be able to have 2 of them. I wish I could do an HLA match more, but that's rare because it's another group higher than the average platelet donor, which I'm the average platelet donor. But when you can be an HLA match, then you did directly save 2 lives. I've indirectly saved over 1,000 lives now, but directly I've got 2 lives that depended on my on my product, and it fit them 8 to 8 for a perfect match. And that's rare. That's even rarer than what I do for normal.
Well, there you go then. That's a perfect way to end this little story and message that you just shared. Alan, thank you very much. And we are going to move on to our next guest.
546. Keith Kramer is a local actor here in the Las Vegas area. He is doing the honor of reading Frank Martinez's story on Agent Orange.
Agent Orange, Broken DNA, The Enemy Within, written by Miriam Martinez. Agent Orange, The Invisible Enemy. The journey begins with Frank Martinez, combat soldier and point man, stationed with the 2nd and 16th Rangers in the Republic of Vietnam's Iron Triangles in 1969. His extensive military training and combat experience did not prepare him for the enemies that lurked within his mind and body. Coming home did not remove the nightmares gleaned from the hellhole of combat. Shunned by his fellow Americans and protesters, many veterans felt isolated, abandoned, judged, and damned for fighting for freedom and serving their country. They were exposed to far more than emotional turmoil. Our military was exposed to the unforeseen enemy of chemical warfare known as Agent Orange. The family shares some of their most challenging moments, trials, tribulations, and triumphs as they discover the havoc Agent Orange has caused within their 3 generations. This book is written from a place of love, healing, and understanding. The sole purpose is to spread education and to awareness to individuals potentially affected and to know you are not alone. Together, we can make a difference.
All right, we're back again. I hope you guys are really enjoying this. My gosh, there's so many beautiful morsels of wisdom and knowledge. You know, pay attention. You'll probably want to watch the rerun again because there's so much to absorb. So Miriam, let's talk a little bit about what your To Our Legacy Project's goals are. Can you share that with the audience?
Well, our goal is to provide awareness, educational, and resources with support. We're looking to come together with our community for support. As most of you know, that it's lonely when you have family members that are ill, and we just want to embrace them and show them love and let our Vietnam veterans know that they are not alone.
Exactly. They felt alone while they were there, fighting to keep this country free. Yeah. And then they came home and all of a sudden it's like, what did we do wrong? And they didn't, right? So there's a lot of tragedy that takes place in the world, but today is a happy day because we are now getting that word and that awareness out so that the families don't have to think, what did I do wrong? Because they didn't do anything wrong. And we want to make sure that they understand that and what we can do to get those resources and information out and the testing and everything to go on. Because without your support and without your help and coming forward, that's when more and more research can get done and more answers can get done, and hopefully we can end this mess and we can reverse the damage that was created or at least halt it in its place. That's the mission of To Our Legacy, is to change the issue and make it better. Right?
Absolutely. Knowledge creates awareness that leads to research, and that's what our project is all about today, is embracing the families and letting them know, let's see what we can do together as a community.
Exactly. So let's go a little bit into some of the objectives, right? So we talked about, finding online resources. It's not always easy, is it?
No. You try to do your own research out there, you're going to get hit with a lot of information. And, you know, the information is good, but it's up to you to figure it out, what's going to fit you and your family and your lifestyle. Having family members that all of a sudden become ill, you know, it shifts life in so many directions, and you want the answers now. And that's what we provide, is a platform that's going to bring our community together for support. Stop
I know.
For a second.
This is emotional, and it's
It is.
okay because she lived the story, and she is currently living it, just like many of you out there today. She had to do all the research on her own to get answers. That's why this is so important, that this message gets out, so that you don't have to go through what Miriam went through.
Or her family.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so that's what that's the objective of this project, blah, blah, tongue tire here, so that your awareness and a direction to go, questions to ask, you know, because that was one of the biggest problems, right? What questions do I ask?
Yeah.
You know, they're telling me, oh, well, that's just that. It's all in your head. It's all, you know, all that stuff they like to say, when it really isn't the facts of the matter. And that's why we would love to have you share your stories as well, because that's another part of what's going on here. We want you to reach out to us. Share your stories.
Let's get to know each other.
Exactly. This
That's
is a
how we
community
create a
here.
solution.
Yes. There's power in numbers. And we would love to help you lead the pack, join the forces, because what starts here in Vegas is going to ripple to every state in the nation. It can even go overseas in other countries, because it's not just our Vietnam veterans here in this country. It's all around the world. That's the mission.
It
right?
is. It is.
So you reach out.
Yeah.
And if you got stories, and we're going to talk a little bit about that off and on through this, those stories are what's going to lead the way for more stories to come out for people that even had no clue, and it's going to give them an opportunity to think, well, maybe that explains why this happened. Or maybe that explains what happened over here. Oh my gosh, I remember 30 years ago. You mean that could have been a part of this? That's the awareness.
Yes.
Because it is generational, and they don't know for sure how many. So we want to help get that message out, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was really great.
yeah. So we want to be in partnership with you. And who knows, there might be a book in your future with your stories.